Hi everyone. In this video, I'm going to talk about the specifics of the proposal essay assignment. I'm going to go through each element of that assignment in order in the way that you would come into contact with the documentation and supports for this assignment to hopefully give more explanation for what's expected of you. So in this essay, I'm looking for 3 to 4 pages of narrative in which you are going to explain a problem and a solution, what we're calling a proposal essay. This should be formatted in APA format like every essay for this class. You can use the template that was available in week 1 to get you started. In this essay, you need to identify a specific target audience. You need to name and describe a problem. You need to call for specific action and then demonstrate or explain how that action will remedy the problem. Now, to kind of explain or expand on all of these ideas that I just talked about, there is reading linked here in this assignment or in this handout for you to help you prepare to write this essay. I expect you to read that independently, but I do want to go over some highlights from that reading. So here is this reading that is how to write a problem solution essay with step-by-step instructions that hopefully you will find reasonable and accessible and something that's easy to use to help you with this. So the way that you want to think about this is it's really important that you know that you are writing kind of a problem solution or a logical essay and not a research paper. We're only looking at 3 to 4 pages. What you need to identify is a very specific and small problem. The problem that you are not trying to solve is the problem of large-scale assessment in public education. The problem you are trying to solve is not something related to wraparound services versus sweeps for homelessness, for homeless individuals. Those are really big problems. Those are problems that are more appropriate for a book, for a research paper, for a much bigger problem than what we're looking for in this short 3 to 4 page essay. So what this first step here is to think about groups to which you belong and problems that those groups have. So think about something very local, something small. Think about your personal experiences in school or maybe with your children at school, something that's happening in the city in which you live or in your specific neighborhood or your community. Think about a club that you belong to. We're thinking, again, small scale, a small problem, maybe, somewhere where you've been having conversations with your book club because there is a problem with the way that you pick books in your group, or you're thinking about your rec ultimate frisbee team and the problem of there being lack of communication and people not knowing where they're supposed to be. I'm thinking about that. Those are the sorts of topics for this paper. Again, something that you can really cover well in just 3 to 4 pages. It is not a research paper. It should not be an in-depth, big problem of the world. This should be a very small, very manageable problem that you experience in your day-to-day life, or maybe someone in your family does. But again, a 3 to 4 page paper topic. That's a really important key sticking point that a lot of people have trouble with in this essay. So something you really want to think carefully about. In these next steps, it kind of talks you through how to brainstorm what topics you might want to work on. So I'm leaving this for you, but an exercise that you can do as you're trying to think about what is a good topic to pick, what are some options that you have in your experiences. That's what these steps go through and help you thinking about. And then there's just some more specific, again, hopefully this reading helps you keep this very specific. You want to be able to name a solution and name how that solution will fix the problem. A big issue, such as what do we do with people who are experiencing homelessness, is not something that you're going to be able to provide a solution to that you can clearly say will address the problem very nicely and neatly in 3 to 4 pages. So again, when you're thinking about a solution and you're thinking about a problem, pick something small, pick something discrete, pick something that can be addressed very clearly and carefully, and that you can articulate very well how your proposed solution fixes the problem that you present. So again, more support here with different ways that you can think about your essay. Now note that there are some some issues here that are named in this handout or in this article that are bigger than are appropriate for this paper for our class. So here, adding taxes on cigarettes decreases smoking, so put a tax on unhealthy snack foods. That's a topic for a research paper, okay? That is not what I'm looking for in this essay. What I'm looking for is something more like fire the college, let's say fire the or replace the Little League baseball umpire because. Again, something smaller, something local to you, something personal to you, okay? Then when you go to write this essay, you want to think about how to make it interesting to the reader, even though it's something that's specific to your life or your context. So think about how you can present it in a way that anyone reading would be interested. You want to make sure that it's clear why there is a problem. The reader shouldn't come in and say, that doesn't seem like a problem to me. So make sure that it's clearly explained why there is an issue, what is the problem, and then your solution directly addresses how you described the problem to begin with. And you need to convince the reader that it will solve the problem and that it's doable. Okay, again, more details here about how to write an introduction, how to be creative, how to pull your reader in, making sure you have a clearly defined thesis. We will do more of that in our discussion board activity for the week where we will workshop our thesis statements together. In the body of the paper, you want to make sure that you have very clear paragraphs. Each paragraph should explain one clear idea and one complete idea. Once you switch the topic, you really want to switch to another paragraph. This is another issue I often see in students writing. You want to make sure that each paragraph is both directly connected to the thesis statement and each paragraph develops one clear idea. Once you move on to another clear idea, you want to make sure that you're in a new paragraph. And just like you should have a clear introduction to your paper that makes the problem very explicit to the reader, you want to make sure that you have a clear concluding paragraph. It should be its own paragraph in which you're not presenting any new ideas. In that paragraph, you are summarizing what has happened in your paper. You are making it clear to the reader why what you have proposed needs to happen, why it should happen, making the argument for why this is the solution and not some other solution. And you really want to convey to the reader or convince the reader this is your last chance to just kind of tie a bow around your argument of why your solution addresses the problem. And again, remember, we're looking for something clear and concise and limited that can be covered well in 3 to 4 pages. So I'm not looking for a whole bunch of statistics, a whole bunch of citations, a whole bunch of references, but that's also very closely tied to how you pick your topic to make sure that your topic is something that can be written well within the limited scope that you have. And here there's just some other kind of things that are generally helpful for writing that I'm going to leave for you, thinking about how to write for an audience, the difference between a problem solution and an argument paper, how to best do this writing. There's some good questions and answers here to help with that as well, to help you get started, thinking about scope of the problem and why you would pick an issue. So that I'm going to let you continue to read this on your own. I'm not going to go through this in detail anymore because I think that is an assignment for you to do, but I wanted to kind of highlight some of those key pieces. Okay, so after you've done some of that reading and you've done some of that brainstorming, you're going to pick a topic. And again, something from your everyday experience, something that is close to your community. Once you have picked a topic, you are going to use the handout that was provided to write a clear thesis statement. And this is how you're doing your planning for this essay. So the planning looks like this. This is where you are identifying who should do something. What should they do? For what reason should they do it? What is the action? What? And then the why. Why do we care about this? So who is your audience? What action are you proposing? And why is that important? So you're going to use this worksheet along with that reading to help you develop a first draft of a thesis statement that goes into our discussion board for this week. And so there are examples in that reading. There are those questions to help you guide the process in that handout, and you are going to use that specifically for the discussion board, and then that should be able to, through that processing together or that workshopping together, you should be able to get a good thesis statement that you feel solid about to go into the final paper. And so then the last thing that you're going to do this week is you're going to actually draft this paper. You're going to write the whole thing, okay? You want to make sure that your audience, action, and reason are all included very clearly. And then here's a very simple kind of structure for your paper. You have an introduction where you're identifying the audience and the problem that needs to be addressed. Then you use the body of the paper to really flesh out your proposal with a clear call to action. And then kind of in your conclusion, you can talk about why the proposal is feasible and that it will meet the need or it will address the problem that you've described. And then the rest of what's here in this essay is just more of, or in this handout is more to help guide you in your writing when you're thinking about your own writing. And if you think you are meeting the assignment requirements, you can use this to help you think about, all right, is your content good? How is your organization? Does it flow well? Is it logical? Is the style written at appropriate for this level and for this class and for this audience? Did you meet APA guidelines? And how is the grammar, spelling, mechanics, all of those sorts of things? And then here, this last page is just kind of a checklist of things that I will be looking for when I grade the final copy of this essay. You do get to write multiple versions of it in class. But again, this is kind of like a checklist that you can use to make sure that you are addressing all of the things that are expected of you in this assignment, so that you have a strong proposal and claim with reasons, the context is clear, the audience is identified, all these things that I've been talking about. These are named specifically here in this checklist for you to go through and think about as you are reviewing your own work, and as you are writing, to make sure you are writing to the best of level that you can. You can use the rest of this handout to help you with that. Okay, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out.